say some, sorry.
I'm going to, Rangeley, how well do you know your main way up north?
Very coastal.
Yeah,
Up to about Bar Harbor.
Yeah, I saw it.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 3:10, and we are kicking off our agenda for the August 14th Finance Committee meeting. Welcome all. Any public comment, Lisa, that we're aware of?
There are no public comments, but you will want to call the roll before we proceed.
Okay. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Doyle, not able to join us today. Commissioner Poles,
Here?
Commissioner Cahill,
Here.
Commissioner Elkine,
Here.
and I am here. So we have 4 or 5. Anyone have any announcements? Hearing no, and seeing no hands, no announcements. Public appearances, Lisa, anything by Zoom?
No, there's nobody by Zoom. Nobody's even listening in. It's just us
Okay.
right here.
All righty. Okay, let's jump to 4, discussion, update, a draft of the 24-25 workflow. And our CFO would give us an update.
Sure. There was only one update to the workflow, and I added, capital project update number 2 to the month of February for the Finance Committee. That was an omission in the last. Yes, and that's all.
Any commissioners have any questions? I had one question. I'm looking down there about the date for the budget goal setting meeting to be conducted in the fall has not been set at this time. And we've talked about it a few times in public, and then I think some dates were passed around. But anyway, I'm just wondering how long we can wait, because Aaron, I believe that you said, got to get the ball rolling early, in late summer or early fall. So how long can we wait before we set this meeting?
I think that's because we decided we were going to fold that into the strategic plan. So once the strategic planning, begins in September, it will not be, it will be part of the strategic.
Well, my feelings about this are maybe a little, the reason why I wanted to do it. My observation of public agencies, city councils and so forth, is that they have a specific priority setting per year. And that the strategic plan is a longer running, bigger, more generalized concept for, where we're going, more of a roadmap. But priorities are set by the councils each year, like 3 or 4 or 5 top priorities. And you're reminding me that we did have, I've heard that. But anyway, I feel that they're distinctive. They're separate, and I'd love to hear anybody else's thoughts about this.
But the goals for the goal setting for the finances will be tied to the strategic plan. And if we have a new plan will have new goals. So it doesn't make sense for us to talk about goals in our existing reimagining plan when we're going to have new goals next year.
Thoughts, anyone?
I'm actually not very clear. Sorry, you're both saying things, and I'm like, goals and strategic planning, are you using them interchangeably, or are you using them as, I know goals are part of a strategic plan, but they're usually folded in, as far as I know. My misunderstanding.
Well, yeah. But when we do our budget workshop, all of our budget presentations are tied to goals in the strategic plan. So all of the requests that the staff make are tied to goals in the strategic plan. So they're tied in that way. And since we're going to have a new plan, it doesn't make sense to have our budget goals be based upon our old plan. That makes sense?
Yeah, okay.
So, the life of the strategic plan is, what, 3 to 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. And so we're looking out 5 years ahead at how we look when we see the library unfold. And you don't see a role in there for shorter term, like, annual priority setting in the budget?
I think it could be dovetailed so that there is congruency, and the priorities that are set for the budget support the strategic plan, and make sure that everything is in line to meet that strategic plan. And given that the budget is really the reflection of the priorities of the library system, I think if there is going to be some changes in, the strategic plan, that it makes sense that it happens, in a way so that the strategic plan reflects the budget priorities and vice versa. I'm not an expert in all of that, but I do feel that, the budget is the biggest policy, that an organization adopts and reflects where, the values and where the priorities, given where it's, investing its funds.
And is that not distinct, separate from the strategic plan in the more specific way of, like, let's just say we had a goal of, priority of, reducing our long-term liabilities, or paying them off, or some dramatic thing that we want to do in a single year. It doesn't really fold into the strategic plan. I mean,
Unless the strategic plan says that that is part, maybe the strategic plan says that it does want to, reduce these liabilities. Therefore, then it's really easier to make the budget decisions because it's in your strategic plan that drives your
Very
work.
uncomfortable making a major decision like that was not dictated by the strategic plan. I guess the question I have is, when are we thinking the strategic plan will be done?
Well, I've asked we did interviews, yesterday, and I asked the consultants that we need basically a draft outline of the goals by mid-February. That doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna have it completed with all of the details, but we needed a draft outline by February. That would enable the management team to do their presentations and,
Did they feel that was achievable?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Can I ask you a question, Commissioner McKenzie? What do you, I'm hearing that you would like, unless I'm misunderstanding, you would like to separate this. What do you feel will be lost if it gets dovetailed I guess I'm not clear what your exactly what your concerns are.
a little vague, I realize. I'm used to seeing specific goals set by city councils. Kentucky Runner
Yeah.
Park, they have 4 or 5 goals they wanted, and they come from the council.
Mhm.
And what we have seen in the last number of years is this kind of in this semi-vague, to me, strategic plan, when we did their reimagining plan and a lot of stuff kind of laid out, but it's not nearly as specific as, laying out specific goals like that. And, I don't know, I mean, we had this conversation in the finance committee, is there a role for commissioners to weigh in? I mean, this is, our job, we're the governing body, and, well, we don't think this, something, or I don't wanna put any examples out there, but, where's our voice in this? And in a strategic plan, as long as there's, some specifics that seem to be coming from the governing body, I'm okay with that. But the last time, we were all kind of lost in the conversation. We were grouped together with the labs and the whatever, and a video call, and there wasn't any specific stuff that came, from us and our role as the governing body.
I'm not sure we want to use the reimagining plan as a model for how we're going to do this. I think we all recognize it was a compromise under difficult circumstances. I don't want to speak for you, but my understanding, and Eric and I talked about this a little bit, is that we're looking for a strategic plan that has very measurable goals.
Yeah.
And from which we'll be developing annual work plans and the executive director's priorities that will have very specific measurable targets. So, I appreciate the concern you're raising, but I don't think we should look to the reimagining plan as the model for what it's gonna be.
Okay.
And I can share that the consultants that I've talked to, the ones that we're looking at, all of them have, like a full day session with the, commission and the library administration somewhere in the beginning of the process.
Okay.
So and I would say, like, the financial goals, if one of our overarching goals in the strategic plan has to do with sustainability, has to do with good governance, that any kind of financial goals would fall under that. And that, you know, is something that we can think about.
I don't wanna be difficult. It's 3:20.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
I'm not sure this is the
We've already
topic
lost,
we
10
wanna
minutes.
spend our time on today.
Well, it was on the
Yeah.
thing.
If I could just, add one thing, there's less here than meets the eye. There are only a few dozen people who are gonna be putting together, strategic plan and various add-ons and inputs. And I think they're all gonna be working toward the same goal. I don't really see a problem here.
All right, moving on. Thank you for your thoughts. The financial reports for a period ending July 31st, 2025. Myrna or Catherine or?
Yes, I will, essentially, the July report, just wanted to just briefly state, it is the first month of the fiscal year. There is really barely any revenue because we do not receive either property tax or sales tax. But the revenue that we have received is, $25,354, and expenditures to date really are primarily driven by our salaries and benefits, payroll, $3.9 million. So with that, if you have any questions, you can.
I have a question under, let me see, is it the fund balance? Oh, no, under salaries and benefits, prepaid the lump sum like you do, and we save money that way. Do you have a sense of how much money we saved this time by the?
It's around, I don't know the exact number, but it's around 55,000.
That's what it was last year, something like that.
Mhm,
I
it's always
just
around that.
like, it's a big number,
It's
so
it's worthwhile.
point it out.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners or staff or anyone who'd like to ask questions? I have a question here, but I don't understand what I wrote, so we'll move on. Let's see, let's go quickly through the financial reports, for the unaudited fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
So, this report includes unaudited year-end financial reports for fiscal year, ending June 30th, 2025, and the numbers here are rounded. High level total revenues received were $48.3 million, and expenditures that includes operations and capital of $51.5 million. And the variance of $3.25 million is the use of fund balance that has been approved for our modernization projects primarily. Revenue more specifically, property tax, we received $29,281,013, which is great. It is approximately $1.4 million greater than budgeted. The estimated total sales tax receipts, and I say estimated because, the receipt that we receive in August is for June, and, we're still waiting for that at the end of August. But with the estimate that we have, for the month of August, we have 11 months of actual, is $15,546,141. This still represents a shortfall, that I have been, chairing with the finance committee. At this time, I see a shortfall of about $207,000. But this may change depending on the actuals that come in later this month, for the month of June, and any variances here, will be reflected as a, audit adjustment. So audit adjustments takes place during the month of August, our books closed, and then we still have these kinds of items, plus also closing out, our capital projects, our modernization projects, and those are reflected as audit adjustments that take place now in the month of August. So we do need, some time to complete those audit adjustments, and therefore we don't have a fund balance, ready to share with you all, because that is still moving. But I did want to share with, total expenditures of $51 million. Overall, we have a $6.4 million, savings. And really what's driving that is the $4 million that were allocated, i.e. appropriated to the Roseland, which have not yet been, transferred over to the city of Santa Rosa. And we will be asking for a rebudget, in, the new fiscal year. The others is that we do have, approximately $2 million in savings in, utilities and wireless services because of new partnerships that, the library has entered that has created a lot of savings in our hotspots and our wireless services.
Good.
And, we just have built in a little savings under utilities as well. So that's what's primarily driving savings there. What else? I think that summarizes, my report, for you today, unless you have some questions.
I was wondering, under the sales tax, I might have asked this question last time also, we seem to underestimate sales tax, and I was wondering if, the base of what percentage you use, or how you develop what percentage. I mean, the sales tax, I'm saying this wrong, it was the interest, basically, almost $1 million more in interest than
Oh,
I thought.
sure. Oh, I understood the question to be, why do we underestimate the interest earned on the cash balance? One is that I do tend to be conservative on that, and I have shared my approach to that, with the commission and the finance committee. It's difficult to rely on interest as a
Revenue.
Yeah, as revenue, as a, regular stream to fund, ongoing costs. And, given that there have been such volatility in the market, this year, it's difficult to just rely on it. And we've been fortunate that the markets have been still performing well for us, and that we received, this income. So, I did adjust, in the mid-year, the interest income, because it was doing well, and I was still conservative, obviously. So, the other is,
One other quick question for me, or actually it's a comment on, page 12, talking about the sales tax receipts decreasing. I read a report the other day from somewhere that, internet sales seems to be really impacting. Do you have a sense of internet sales affecting our?
A sales tax, because the monies are, the sales tax revenues are booked in the, like, for example, if Amazon has a warehouse in
Right.
Solano County, and you order, and it gets delivered to Solano, so Solano gets the sales tax,
That's right.
regardless of whether or not, where you live. So that, yes. So online shopping, absolutely affects sales tax revenue.
Yeah. And it's gonna affect all local jurisdictions depending on sales tax, and so that's probably not gonna get better.
Right, which is why those counties really like having those warehouses, because they get to, all those sales taxes go to their county.
there is legislation, that attempts to take a look at that and to, more share that sales tax revenue. I just don't know where it is right now, but there are attempts, by the legislature at the state level to address those disparities.
Other questions?
I had a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Um,
Andy.
Marina, I'm looking at the projected sales tax revenue, and it actually, that gap between the budget and what you're projecting turns out to be smaller than we had feared. How confident are you on that figure?
Oh, the figure that I have in front of you today?
Yeah,
It could be, that shortfall could actually decrease a little bit.
Wow.
really?
Yeah, it might, the receipts for July were a tad bit greater than last year, so that helps close this gap. And, if that trend continues in this last receipt for the fiscal year, we might see something less.
So in the column that says June, where it shows $3.9 million, that really represents 3 months of sales tax revenue, right?
Correct, because in the month of June, we book the actuals that we received in June, and we book an estimate for, normally.
What we receive in July.
Yes, but what you have in front of you has the actuals for everything except for August.
August, right? Has the actuals that we received in June and July, and your estimate of what we're gonna get this month.
Yes.
Got it, okay. Thank you.
That it, Andy?
That's it.
Okay, yeah.
I had that question, but I have another question. On looking at voucher payments over 50,000, so I'm looking on page 10. I just want to double check, because I know this has come up, the 62,463 of NorCal moving. Is that Petaluma, what move is that? Is that getting Petaluma back in, or what are we? The reason I'm asking it is not particularly, just noting that, because it wasn't, remember we talked about that not being, making sure we've got that number when we budget any more renovations. Just asking.
It is marked for one of the moves, I just don't know which one.
Okay, it doesn't, but it is, that's what that represents of putting either direction, taking out.
Yes, yes, it is. It is,
Is that Healdsburg?
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't say what it is.
It doesn't matter really which, but I'm more just noting the amount of money that is, just so we remember that next time, yeah.
What was that item?
It's the 62 from NorCal Moving Services, 722, page 10,
Page,
on voucher payments over 50,000. Okay.
yeah,
It's back on page 10.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, so,
so like 62,000 is the last item there. So I'm just wanting us to note that next time. because
We'll be adding it to our future budget.
I just wanna make sure we remember that, yeah, right, okay.
Oh,
In the
But,
future,
yeah,
that's,
to
I
include
don't really
it
care,
in-
I don't really
in the
care if
overall
it's
budget.
Healdsburg or Petaluma, it doesn't matter in that sense, but probably just, I just went looking for it to see what that actually cost. In the end, that wasn't, okay, that's all, right. Yeah, I know we won't do that again. All right.
Okay. So, final question on this topic. Since Tina brought up a question on our reports, does anybody have any questions on any of the reports that they'd like to ask? I was curious about the summary report. It seemed like the actual interest income was exceptionally low for $5,000 for,
I'm sorry, are we talking about the month of July, or are we talking about, I thought you had gone to the annual
Well, we
summary,
had.
and now we're back on the month, is that?
well, we had gone to the annual, but we didn't go through these reports.
Okay, I just wanna know where we are.
Yeah.
Well, all of my big ones report are all together, so that's what it's not asking, but are you,
No,
are you
just,
okay?
no,
Okay.
I'm fine with it, it's just, are we now back on looking at the month of July?
Yes,
Okay,
question about the month of July.
yeah.
okay.
Interest income at $5,000 seems low.
I'm sorry, what was,
She's talking about this number here.
Which number are we on?
oh, that's for the
Oh, wait,
prior
that's
year.
That's
prior
prior
year.
year.
Okay.
That's still low, anyway, okay, never mind.
Well, compared to this year, it could be that we received some grants or some donations. There's, this other category is a combination of various revenues.
I would just remind everybody that in previous years, figures we've seen for the month of July
Yeah,
don't really cover very much.
apologies for going backwards, Andy, and I will say where. 4.4, additional, update on additional discretionary payments for PERS.
Okay. So the Finance Committee has, been discussing strategies for addressing the pension costs over the last calendar year. And, the committee received presentations from CalPERS and Keenan and Associates, which is a third-party vendor, about strategies for positioning the library to reduce pension liabilities. And at your May meeting, the Finance Committee directed staff to prepare a report with scenarios for making additional discretionary payments to reduce the unfunded accrued liability that's associated with the pension. An ADP, additional discretionary payment, is made to pay down the unfunded accrued liability, which is right now at $19,310,353, according to the latest actuarial report published by CalPERS with the period ending June 30th, 2024. So this is the report that's attached to this item. And using the chart on page 16, additional employer contributions, I calculated what would be the total increase to pensions if, because we still have increases to our normal cost, we have increases to the changes to the UAL, and then on top of that, we want to make an additional discretionary payment. So we have three scenarios that are discussed in page 16, but if you will scroll down, Lisa, right here, stop here. So you have, there's two variables that are very key. One is, how much can you afford in if you want to make an additional discretionary payment? And in how many years or by when do you want to reach your goal? The goal of being 95%, 90%, 95%, or 100% funded. Right now, we're at 81% funded. So that's what this chart shows, that we could be fully funded in 15 years with an additional discretionary payment of approximately $101,000
Per year, right?
per year, annual. In 10 years, we could be fully funded with an additional annual payment of $690,000. In 5 years, we could be fully funded if we make a $2.5 million annual dollar payment.
And just to be clear, and this is based on the assumption that we want to be 100%.
Correct.
Right? So what I'm hearing you say is we got to look at three numbers. First of all, what's the target? Do we want to be at 100? I have a different feeling, but what's the target? How many years, what do we consider a reasonable period of time, and what's the resulting payment? And we got to jigger those three things together so that we have a reasonable and affordable path forward. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You were saying?
Any comments at this point?
Can I just propose something for discussion?
You may.
100% seems not really what we need to be at, and trying to stay at 100% with market variations and so on, it just feels like it's more aggressive than we need to be. I would personally feel very happy if we said 95%. In terms of the time, 15 years feels not as aggressive as I think we should be. I'd be much more comfortable if we were in the 10 to 12 year range. And in terms of the amount, I was thinking, 1% roughly of our annual budget, or $500,000. I don't think we want to be more than 500,000. Sounds like that would be outside what you feel we could realistically achieve. So I realize you can't do this in your head. It's a complicated calculation, but I'd be very interested in seeing if we were willing to commit up to close to $500,000, how many years would it take us to reach, not 100%, but 95%? And if we could do that in 10 to 12 years, I feel very comfortable proposing that to the commission as a path forward.
I think that's a good suggestion, Andy, and, we'll need some recalculation for the next meeting. I would like to add to that, and I believe it's mentioned in here about how we approached the OPEB, which was a big chunk up front. And since we are kind of simultaneously with this, looking at our overall fund balances and what our policy is gonna be for how to deal with what we have left and any that we might have in the future, this kind of fits together, and I'm not sure how to mesh our progress on both. I mean, I think it's good to keep looking at these numbers, but I think, I'm wondering at what point in time we're gonna look at kind of the overall policy for dealing with our fund balance. I mean, we gotta wait to find out what it is, and we won't even know what that is until October, right?
No, we won't know the final, but I think you're absolutely right. We have to consider OPEB, and I know we have a policy in place, the 10 years. I think we're gonna have to extend it beyond that. We've made great progress,
Right.
but I think we should do these two things together.
Yeah, well, what I meant also by
Yeah.
the OPEB policy was that we didn't try to spread it out in 10 years of payments, but we did a big chunk, but I think we did the 3 million.
$3 million.
And then, per year, and so we took that money out of our fund balance.
But that was,
Sorry.
but that was a different situation in that OPEB hadn't been funded at all.
Yeah.
So I think, and I wasn't on the commission then, but I think you correctly recognized, oh my gosh, we gotta do something significant here.
Just had a little bit in there, about 150,000 or something. But there was a fund, but
Yeah.
it wasn't funded in a policy, predictable way.
Yeah.
Standard
So
way.
I guess a question, Myrna, would be, and I know we're ahead of when the OPEB payments are scheduled to stop, right? Those go through 2026 or 2027, but, yeah, but I guess I would ask you, is it possible for you to look at the progress we've made there and calculate how many more years you think we need to allocate in order to bring OPEB to a similar, 90 to 95% funded basis? This is in
Yeah,
addition to
because-
the regular payments that we're making.
Sure, I think, certainly we should have some information to help us, get to that point, to when we would be fully funded with OPEB.
But then we're also talking about an overall policy for the rest of the fund balance.
Yes.
And so where do you think that is?
I don't know, yeah. This would be, including facility projects, I think that is.
Well, this is one piece of that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so this is helpful, to know that the committee is committed to additional discretionary payments, because then, yes, we're still pending a bigger policy. So I would like to square this away so that I can then see, well, how much more do we need for our, facilities improvements and maintenance, and then also, what we might still have for, miscellaneous one-time investments. That had been my proposal.
Okay, so
Earlier.
your preference is, let's do this, and then as we're on the side over here, we have our big policy, but try to finalize it until we get this chunk.
Yes,
Really?
yes, I mean, the more concrete things that we
Okay.
have that we know we need to fund,
Okay.
if this committee is feeling that committed to an ADP. Because if it's not, if this committee's not committed to an ADP, which I'm hearing that you are, I'm hearing, I just want to, and this is a good discussion to have, then I could put that in the calculation of that fund balance policy.
Well, I think Andy's proposal is a good one. David?
I have a counter proposal.
Pardon me?
Counter proposal.
Okay.
Andy and I disagree in principle over the concept of 100% fully funded. My view, remember last month or last prior month, our consultant said that in accordance, we are exactly average across all the JPAs in California at 80%. He didn't go on to browbeat us saying about how we had to have a higher figure nationwide. 80% of pensions is itself an extremely ambitious figure. What we really got is a revolving fund. You never have to pay off all existing pension liabilities at one time. You don't need to be fully funded. So I think we're fine doing nothing at 80%, but we can certainly be above average. Okay? What I would suggest is that we do what Myrna says we can afford without any budgetary acrobatics. Go for 15 years, and pay $101,545, whatever it is, extra per year. It would give us, we can still say, well, our goal is fully fundedness, but we're not gonna go spend $500,000 a year on it. That, I think, would be a breach of our fiduciary duty to the public. We have lots to do with $500,000. 100,000 seems all right. It does set a firm commitment to be fully funded in 15 years.
And the additional payment comes out of operating, is that correct?
Well, at what I gave the range of 100 to 500 could be out of operating.
And, you know, sort of following this, I think it's as almost important to do it quicker at a less higher percentage than the other way around. Like, I think that it would be better to say, let's hit for 90, I mean, I'm just, you know, saying 90%, and let's do it, not do it in 12 years, let's do it, let's move that money into less funding in exchange for quicker.
So, with,
yeah.
I hear you, and
Yeah.
so I guess without making an impossible task, could we give you several variables to try to calculate some, I think there's consensus that we would like to pay this out of operating. We don't want to dip into the fund balance to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
There is some disagreement around, should it be 90% or 95% or even less? And I hear you're eager, you'd be more comfortable 6 to 8 years versus 10 to 12 years. Could we give you 3 or 4 scenarios to work out and see what the payments would be?
Yes.
Okay.
Why, I didn't know everybody was opposed to taking a chunk out of fund balance. I'm not opposed to taking a chunk out of fund balance, some amount. Is that a bad idea, Myrna, or?
The fund balance is for one-time
Yeah.
Right.
uses that would be an appropriate one-time use.
That's what I
And there's
would say.
precedence with the OPEB
Yeah.
to have done that.
I feel uncomfortable with that. My only concern is how much we have to pay per year.
Right.
The philosophers can fight over the percentage of this and that and the number of years. All I'm concerned is we don't go over a figure that you say we can afford without getting into budgetary difficulty.
So here's a suggestion. The figure here, what you indicated is you felt that we could make an additional discretionary payment between 101,000 and 500,000 and still keep that within the operating budget. Why don't, for the sake of calculation, we consider, let's consider 3 numbers. 500,000 for 15 years, 101,545 for 6 years. 101,545 for 15 years, 101,545 for 6 years. 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 101,545 for 500, 300, and 125.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds good.
yeah.
And let's,
What do we get for that?
yeah.
Exactly, right.
And how, if we made those payments, and how long would it take us to get to 90%? And how long would it take us to get to 95%? That would, I think, give us,
Yeah.
that would give us 6 scenarios to look at. I think that would, we could make a reasonable determination of what felt achievable.
Mhm.
And I guess I do feel strongly about one thing. I feel more strongly that we should have a plan than any of the particulars about the plan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
You know, because at the bottom line, whether it's 90 or 95%, or whether it's 8 years or 12 years, I'd like to feel like we've addressed
Right.
this on our watch, and we haven't just pushed it onto a future commission, where all of a sudden, they're gonna have less financial flexibility because they've gotta make up bigger payments because we didn't, do what we should have.
So I want to throw something else in the mix. So we have just heard that we have some savings from last fiscal year. So you could also devise a plan where you take a percentage of those savings and you put that as a one-time payment. So maybe it's a mixture of, you know, operating, and then we have the savings from the prior year, that we take a percentage of that and we do something with it.
But see, that savings from the end of the year goes into fund balance. And so that's why I'm talking about taking money out of the fund balance. We were talking, if we have a policy for how to use the fund balance, that would fit perfectly into it. But I would also, like, sounds like 3 of you want the scenario. I agree, yes, policy first. But I would also like a scenario where we looked at the use of the current fund balance, take a chunk out and as a kind of a bolus against this.
Well, for example, we ended fiscal year '25 with about $750,000 savings in salaries and benefits, which would be great if then we say we can apply that,
Right,
you know, to, the, you know, one lump sum.
right.
Or more. You know, you get, what you see in the reports today is that you have the 750,000 and you have the 2 million in services and supplies. That, like Commissioner, or Chair, McKenzie says, that will go into fund balance. We still don't have the exact number of dollars that are going into fund balance because of these budget adjustments. But that is a good estimate.
So, I like what you're suggesting. I think what would be helpful for me is if you could run these numbers and we could see, I could see us developing a policy that says, okay, based on that, we're gonna pick one of these. We're gonna say, you know, we agree that we're gonna make annual contributions of X for the next however many years. And in addition, any savings on salaries and benefits each year, rather than going back into fund balance, would also go to pay this down, which would just have it happen quicker.
With maybe a limit on how much that could be.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I like
Right.
that concept.
I like that concept.
Yeah.
It's an extremely variable amount.
I know,
Right.
that's the thing about.
So that's why it would have to be in
Has to be an
addition to,
add-on.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
extra.
Right.
But that
Yeah.
could help us achieve the goal more quickly. And if in a given year,
There is nothing?
there's nothing, and we still are marching toward our goal
Right.
at a reasonable rate.
I can put a proposal together.
That would be great.
So can you include an option for taking money out of current fund balance?
Like a
Uh,
one-time large payment?
And plus a one
Yeah.
time,
Just as an alternative to what?
Yeah. Well, it's actually, I think, in addition. I don't think it's an alternative, right?
Yeah, it's an addition,
It's
yeah.
an
Well,
addition.
It's an addition to,
the ADP.
I've got it. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm being,
Yeah.
okay. Just
Yeah.
wanna make, you're right, I back up, I retract.
That would be great, and I think we'll be in a good position to make a recommendation to the full commission.
yeah,
I have a question for you.
all right.
Let Myrna does this and brings it back to us. Is that a discussion item, or is that actually something we have on our agenda as a decision that we're making to recommend? And when we make a recommendation to the commission, is it just a discussion, or is it something else?
That's a good question. I mean, I would think that it would be an action that the committee takes, and then you take it to the commission for full
Right.
vote.
Yeah.
The commission hasn't asked us to do this.
Right.
I mean, this is
That's
a
true.
recommendation is coming from us. So, you know, I think next time you bring us the scenarios, if you can do that by next time, and we discuss the scenarios, and we would vote on the,
Mhm.
you know, consensus
Recommendation.
on the scenarios, and then, is that still too early to take it to the
I
full
think you would
commission as
take
a
a
recommendation?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can always push it back to us and say, you know, talk about it some more, you know, like,
That would put us in probably a November
Yeah.
discussion, maybe, if all goes well, like we could come on the November full commission,
yeah.
or hopefully approval.
Yeah, but let's see, I mean, there might be there
Yeah.
might be something that looks reasonable to all of us and we feel comfortable. I think we want to achieve this, we don't want it to
Mhm.
tear up the budget. We don't want it to use up all of our fund balance that we want to use for capital projects, so let's see if we can
Yeah.
find something that
Yeah.
is a middle path.
Well, when we did the OPEB policy, there was great concern that taking $750,000 out of the operating budget on an annual basis was just not gonna work, and it has worked. So, you know, that there is concern about locking that into the operating budget, because it's not necessarily predictable.
Mhm.
Well, we had over $1 million unexpected in property tax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and who knows next year, what will
Right,
happen.
who knows?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, great work on this, and thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much.
It's helped us to really
Super
consolidate.
helpful.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, it really is, right.
So we have 3 minutes, and, I don't know that that's fair to do an upgrade on the financial auditing services in 3 minutes or so, and we also are to elect a chair and a vice chair. The only, I don't care how we, do you wanna put that up? It would be nice to have all of us here when we do the vote. Deborah will hopefully be
Yeah.
here, and
A vote? Oh, for the,
for the chair and vice chair.
Well,
So-
I think she could give a quick update on
Would
the
you like to
auditing
do-
services, right?
sure. The library and staff has already notified, we received three proposals, and we notified those 3 firms that, our intent is to award a contract to Harshwell and Company LLP. We opened the RFP on June 30th, closed it on July 25th. We held interviews with all 3 proposers, and, given the criteria laid out in the RFP, and vetting, which we felt like we did, we vetted all of them the same, with everyone having an interview, because that was an optional, that Harshwell and Company LLP is the best, match at this time.
Where are they located?
They have offices in Southern California, they have some staff in Oakland, and they also have, I think, Arizona offices.
Do they have anybody up here in our area?
Not in Sonoma, but they have folks in, Oakland.
What was the deciding factor?
I don't think we can discuss it in an open meeting.
So I'm sorry, I should have started by saying that deliberations are confidential.
Yeah.
Okay,
But this is a firm decision that administration has made.
Yes,
I'm
that
just
is,
shocked.
Yeah, I don't think we
that's
have to-
it, and of course, the successful proposer still has to meet all of the insurance requirements,
Right.
the signing of the
which they
contract,
will,
and all of that,
And this
before it's final.
Can you share with us who was part of the group that made the decision?
Yeah, the panelists? Yeah. Me, Marina, Catherine, and,
Jennifer
Jennifer
Murray.
Murray from the county.
Okay,
That's great.
that's great, yeah.
Wow. I'm surprised, but anyway.
Me too.
Okay.
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and I think it's, Zanti and Brinker did a great job, but they've been doing it for a number of years. I think there's a benefit to having a new firm take a look at us. They'll bring a different perspective, and,
Eli,
Yeah,
Yeah.
all good, thank you for doing that.
Thank
It's 4
you.
o'clock.
Yay.
How about that?
Right on time.
Yep, okay.
Okay,
Well done,
everybody.
yes.
Yeah, well done, you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Certain amount of